Oh, thumbs up. But I'm not nervous. Let's talk about let's talk about now. You guys, the Gregg Allman Band sounds fantastic.
Thank you,
And you know, I wanted to ask this because a lot of people will, you know, they'll write things and they'll say, Gregg Allman's music is, Gregg Allman's music is this, Gregg Allman's music is that. How do you describe it?
I don't really. Everybody has to have a name on music, you know. I mean, Southern rock, I guess because it was rock and we were from the South. I'm not sure how many, but some of those Southern rock bands have Yankees in their band. How about that? Barry Oakley was from Chicago, Illinois, I want you to know.
But I mean, it has that bluesy kind of like, I don't know, it always seemed like there was a few bands in that class, like Eric Clapton, the Allman Brothers Band, not Gregg Allman Band. It always seemed like it's more bluesy rock.
Well, I was one of the Allman Brothers who, and my brother too, we always played like rhythm and blues, and he was really into like Delta blues, you know, like Robert Johnson, just Elmore James and Muddy Waters, people like that, and guitar-wise, he was like into B.B. King, which is Chicago blues. And I was really into Texas blues, which is like Bobby Bland and little Milton Campbell and people like that. And the country part of it, just, well, in my opinion, rock and roll is, there's three kinds of music that America has, and that's blues, country music, and rock and roll. There's no such thing as British blues. Make that very clear. There is some of those British guys who really play very well, especially Mr. Clapton and Mr. Winwood. But in my opinion, rock and roll is made up of blues and maybe a taste of country, you know, and Jerry Lee Lewis and Chuck Berry and Presley, you know. Presley had a certain amount of country, you know. Anyway, Dickie Betts wrote some really good, really great country-flavored rock and roll songs. I mean, he wrote some incredible songs, still is. He's working on an album right now, a solo album, that is just the best he's ever done. I mean, it's, when it comes out, I will go and buy it, for sure.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
How come you didn't bring Dickie Betts back in?
What do you mean?
How come
He's not in the Gregg Allman Band?
Yeah.
Well, that would be the Allman Brothers Band.
Well, but I mean, change the name.
Well, it's not a question of that. It's just that, you know, I like different kinds of music, you know, and since the brothers were taking a break, you know, I like to play. I love to play. And two other times while the Allman Brothers were together, I went on my own solo tour. Once in '74 and once in '75, and it was very successful. And so now I'm doing it again, and we plan on cutting an album, hopefully to have maybe a January or February release. It's not for sure, but that's what we'd like to aim for. And we have a lot of it written. And the reason you won't hear it tonight is because of the piracy situation, which is really out of hand.
Is this where you're going to stay, with the Gregg Allman Band, or?
Not necessarily. No. I mean, it came together it wasn't something that was, it sort of happened to come together. And then, well, last spring, I had a gallbladder operation. While I was in the hospital, I decided to really get serious about it. And so we've been playing all through the summer, like at real large nightclubs. You know, they're building some big clubs now because these arenas just doesn't seem like very many people are making any kind of money, because you go into an arena or a ballpark or whatever, and you have 4, 5, 6 acts. I mean, the ticket's going to cost you anywhere from $12 to $20. And people just don't have that kind of money nowadays. And so we've been playing these large clubs, and it's a lot better because you feel a lot more closeness, you know, with the audience. And it's not like you're 100 yards away from the front row, you know, or 80 feet high in these huge stages. When you play those big arenas, you just feel like you're on display, like you're an old Rolls Royce sitting up on some huge stage or something. So consequently, you play for each other. I mean, well, you do that anyway, but I mean, that's all you got is playing for each other. And in these clubs, I mean, you're right down there, you know, where they can smell you, you know. And it works really good. We've had some really good success this summer.
So if I understand you correctly, because I sure don't want to make anything wrong, this is just the beginning of growing in a new direction or something,
Right.
or you're just seeing where things go.
Dickie Betts is out doing a solo thing too.
So the Allman Brothers Band
It's on hold.
is on hold. It's not dead.
No.
Just on a hiatus.
Hiatus. Put it very well.
Thank you.
All right.
Well, tonight, what kind of things can people expect from the Gregg Allman Band?
Some very energetic, very spirited, blues-flavored rock and roll, and some hardcore blues, and some real good picking. And tonight, Luther Kent is here, and he's got 8 horn players with him, and we're gonna, at the end of the thing, we're gonna have a big jam. And well, all along now, I've been planning on putting horns, and I used to have horns in my other band, and we ran over it a while ago, and God, those horns are so nice.
Would anybody be safe in saying that tonight the Gregg Allman Band will have the new Gregg Allman?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
If I can just ask them for my own edification, for just getting the chronology of it. When did you discover the new Gregg Allman? I mean, how many years has it been, or has it just been recently?
It's been about 2 years. Well, it's been 2 years since I started, since everything started coming into focus.
And you stopped
And that I really knew I really had a reason, and I really had a spirit still, and I really was made out of the same stuff that I used to be made out of. And I didn't go on a. Don't get me wrong. Now, I'm not putting anybody's trip down, but I didn't go on an all-out religious trip. I didn't. I'm not preaching that anything is that I've done is right for anybody else or wrong. I just realize that food, water, and air is a groove. And you can make the rest of it happen.
For chronology. How long have the Allman Brothers Band been on hold?
Oh, we just got off at the middle of last February. We got off a long, grueling tour that started back last June.
So that so if the new Gregg Allman, if you discovered that 2 years ago, you've already had some of the new Gregg Allman with the Allman Brothers.
Right. Right.
And now we're seeing it tonight with the Gregg Allman Band.
Right. I went into a long writing slump there too, that I have just recently come out of. That was a real drag when you think. Because the way I write, I don't sit down and just write every day at a certain time. I wait, I am here and all of a sudden it hits me, you know. And it wasn't hitting me for a long time. And it started back up again, you know.
Is Gregg Allman going to hit the, and don't take this wrong, is Gregg Allman going to hit the heights that you've seen in the past?
Well, if I don't, it won't be because I didn't try. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that's a pretty bold statement to make, but I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do my thing better, and have been doing it better than I ever have. And if that's being on top, then yeah, I guess you'll see me up there on top.
What I mean to say is, the world hasn't heard the last of Gregg Allman.
Hell no, not by any means, no. No, I'm just starting. I'm still a kid.
That was very nice. That was very nice. That's got it. Okay. I've been holding that for a long time.
Yeah, that might work. That might go through the butt.
Just remember where you got it.
Just remember.
Where you got it, Greg.
It's brought to you by PM Magazine. The filthiest jokes in town, kids. But there are good ones.
Even my mother like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should have been on the stage. Hey guys, that sound half bad out there.
Well, horns are fat, ain't they?
Yeah. Hey, when he started asking for that mic check on that, and then all of a sudden it came with a mic, and it was
Yeah, it sounds good. That was good quit.
yeah, they sound
Yeah.
good. I know as everybody started going again.
Anytime, bro.
You know, I guess everybody likes to hear the story of Gregg Allman and how you got into this. Do you ever get tired of telling that story?
Well, I don't think I've ever sat down and told the whole story. I don't know. It seems like I've been through a lot of stuff, that's for sure. As a matter of fact, this friend of mine introduced me to this playwright, and being one who likes variety and everything, I would like to. I'd like to eventually get into films. I'd like to try it anyway. But I'm gonna get with him, and there's gonna be like a tape recorder going at all times, and it'll be interesting to see just how much of it I can remember. You know,
I mean,
it's been interesting. You know?
The reason I ask that is because you haven't exactly led a dull life.
Not at all.
I mean,
I have to go and search for dull. I really
Well, why is that? I mean, why do you think things have been so undull? I mean, is it because of the way you live? Or?
I don't like dull. Well, I've had a lot of really, really good luck. I've been a very, very fortunate person. I've had my share of tragedies, but definitely the highs were higher than the lows were low, that's for sure.
I mean, because
basically.
You started out in music a long time ago.
I started playing when I was 12 years old, and Now I'm 34. I started playing professionally 1965. I guess that made me about 16 or 15 years old. No, let me see. In 69 I was 21, so that made me 17 or 18.
And how did you and your brother Dwayne get started in music? You were interested before him.
Yes, I was. Well, we were both born in Nashville, Tennessee, and when I was 12 and he was 13, the family moved to Daytona Beach, Florida. That is, my brother and myself and my mother. My father was killed when I was 2, and my mother never remarried. And it wasn't until we moved to Florida that I got interested in music, and I had a paper route the summer of the year that I was 12 years old, and made just enough to get me out. I bought a Sears and Roebuck guitar, $21.95, silver tone guitar, one of those finger bleeders. And this guy, we would go back in the summertime and visit my grandmother in Nashville. And so the early part of the summer, we went back there, and she lived in this housing project in Nashville. And there was a guy across the street that he wasn't quite right. He was outside painting he had a 48 Packard, big, huge car. He was painting it with a paintbrush. Well, anyway, he had this guitar, and it was real old. I forget what kind it was, like a Stella or something like that. And he knew just like 3 chords. There's 3 basic chords to like a stock type rock and roll song. And he taught me that, and that was just enough to really, really give me just a running, screaming fever for playing a guitar. And I got home, I had to have one. And my mother started worrying about my health. I wouldn't sleep, I wouldn't eat. Everybody that you meet then that just says, oh yeah, I got a guitar, I play, you know. You sit down with them, you get everything, you cop every lick you can from them, you know. And so then my brother got interested in it. And I taught him what I knew in about a day, right? And he picked right up on it. He was just a natural. And he quit school and just passed me up, you know. That comes later on, you know. But he was really a born guitar player. I mean, he was an incredible guitar player.
Now you and your brother, you went out to L.A. first, didn't you? And then tried to start a band.
No, first of all, we had a band in Daytona Beach, Florida. And I was the only one in the band that was still going to high school. I finished high school. We took it on the road and played what we call the Chitlin circuit. It's just these clubs just around the Delta area, you know, like from Louisiana to Florida, and Alabama, and Georgia. I think we worked, the first job we worked 7 nights a week, 6 sets a night, 45 minutes a set. And for the 4 of us, it was me and my brother and 2 other guys, for the 4 of us, we made $440 a week.
That much?
Loved it too. Hell, I didn't think we were supposed to make any more. I mean, really, if your bar tab got a little too much, you owed the people at the end of the week. And we were trying to pay for amps, you know. It was a real struggle, you know, and that went on from 65 to we didn't play that many places because we really loved it. I mean, we really had a damn good band, Allman Joyce, and we didn't play any original material, and I hadn't even written anything or tried or even thought about trying yet. That went on until like the first part of '67. That's when we went out to L.A. And it's really kind of a long story. But we got out there and we cut 2 records, and the people wouldn't let us play. It was real bad management. And I mean, it's one of those things like you read in a book or something. I mean, we were playing in St. Louis at this club, and these guys blew through town. They said, "You gotta come out the coast, man. We'll make you the next Rolling Stones." That was their very words. And I looked at my brother and I said, "What a line of crap." Can you print that? It was a line of crap. And but he was all for it. And that really wasn't like him. I didn't understand it, because he could usually, he was a very perceptive young man. And so we got out there, and I think we played just a minimum of gigs, you know. Therefore, they put us all in our own apartment and everything, and I mean, bang, we wound up on them. We were like $50,000 in debt to them just before you knew it. And my brother says, "Well, this is just really a bunch of crap." So he said, I'm going to go back down south. Let's all just leave here and forget it ever happened." And they said, "Well, yeah, you can leave here, but we're going to, you know, you'll never record for anybody else." And they had everything cross-collateralized. I mean, they were even taking writers' royalties, which I think now is against the law.
Story in the rock world, I mean, are a lot of bands victimized like that?
They sure are, man. Before you put your name to anything, now they have out, there's 2 books. There's one called This Business of Music, and there's another one, I think it's called It's Not the Business, It's Not the Music, It's the Business. They're like big as a dictionary. Everybody ought to read those books, they're great.
Anyway,
just signing anything, I mean, anybody, I mean, you see these guys that always got this great deal going, all of a sudden they start calling themselves a manager, and then you sign your name, and then they sign you to a company, and they act as a middleman, and then they ease on out because the company don't care about them. Next thing you know, you're signed 49 years away to this record label, and you think, my God. And the more you record, the bill gets bigger, and they don't let you play, and oh man, it was just...
That's the trap you were in.
Right.
So you went back south?
Well, I had to stay there to keep everybody from getting sued. And the guys in the band were they were mad. I mean, they were uptight. They said, "What are you staying here?" I said, "Well, I'm going to stay here to keep everybody from getting sued." You know, because they could have, you know, grabbed the box office every place we played after that and charged interest, and I'll tell them what could have happened. Anyway, at that time, I mean, we didn't have enough money for an attorney, let alone. So they went back, and that was the first time that I was away from my brother. I was away from him for 11 months. And when he left L.A., he just started playing slide guitar, bottleneck guitar. So they wanted me to stay there and work with their 26-piece studio band, and they were going to try to make like a stand-up pop singer out of me, which never happened. We cut two songs that I won't even tell you about. I'm afraid somebody might go buy them. They're awful. And all this time, I mean, I didn't hardly know anybody out there, and as it was, just before I left there, I wrote a couple of songs on the first album. I wrote Dreams and Black-Hearted Woman. I was staying with this girl, and she was just like hell. And if they had a bitch contest, she would win. That's true. Anyway,
you didn't like
it really paid off because I wrote a really good song. So, anyway, it was one Sunday morning. I think it was March 26, 1969. The phone rang. It was my brother, and I hadn't even heard his voice in ages. And he said, "Look, I got these." He said, "I went to work, you know, down at Muscle Shoals Sound Studio, and became the staff guitar player down there, and I'd heard that. And he said, but I got tired of being a robot, so I want to get back, you know, get a band back together. And he said, I got these 5 guys together, including me. And he said, I got 2 drummers. And I went, 2 drummers? Because that was unheard of. I don't think there was any, I think there was one band out that had 2 drummers in it. Probably Wayne Cochran, I don't know. And he said, I have 2 lead guitar players, kind of myself. And I thought, that's just craziness. And he said, and a bass player. And he said, they don't write, and they can sing, but they haven't as yet. And he said, well, probably the best compliment I ever got in my life. He said, little brother, I want you to come here and round this thing up and send it somewhere. I said, well, damn, let me hang the phone up, man. So he said, oh, by the way, you got to play organ. I'd never played organ before. So he said, I said, well, I don't play organ. I play a little piano. That's a whole different instrument. And he said, well, you get your butt back here, and we'll see if we can't buy you one of those big Hammond. Well, I left. I got a ride. I hitchhiked all the way. I got a ride from San Bernardino freeway to Jacksonville, Florida, right to the door. And I walked in, and they knew one. They'd worked up like 2 songs, I think. They had them down now. Trouble No More, Muddy Waters song, just a track to him. And he put on his guitar and started playing it bottleneck. I mean, it was, God, it was like something I never heard before. And the drummers were right together. And he said, well, here we get the words written down to this song. I knew some Muddy Waters songs, but not this particular one. And he said, now we're going to go over it again. I want you to sing it, show these guys. I said, I took him aside and I said, look, I don't really know if I can cut this. This is good, I'm not sure. So he said, well, you little punk. I mean, you know, I've told these guys about you, and here you come all the way out here, and now you say you're not going to be able to do it. And I said, well, no, wait a minute. And he said a few more things that really made me mad. And I snatched the words out of his hands and bellered that tune out good and proper. And the whole thing was locked together then. I mean, it was just happening. That was the day right then. And amazes me how you can use videotape twice.
Well, you can get some word twice.
I mean, you know, like a recording tape.
That's what it is. It's recording.
It's just so strange, a picture, and I think film, and it has nothing to do.
Right back through here.
Really, you can play it back over.
Yeah.
What's a rig like this cost?
It's about 55 grand was the lens.
55. Both these together run about 75,000.
Yeah. And the lights are about.
What if you're like doing some kind of action shot and you happen to drop that little gizmo there?
How
many tapes you guys? You got 2 more? Just 1 more.
That's the last one.
I'll go downstairs. Yeah.
We got one. We got one.
Some noisy boys outside.
Yeah, they are. They probably have permanent ear damage. It's a good thing that God made your ear like it is, so the amps are behind us.
That's right.
Shield there.
All right, so that was the birth of the Allman Brothers.
Yes, and I think either the next day or the day after that, I wrote Whipping Post. I mean, they came real fast. It's like deep sea fishing. You have to get one, they start coming in. Anyway, I had.
Wait, I'm sorry. Put out this because it'll be a jump cut when you get because you got a cigarette now all of a sudden.
Glad we have somebody that thinks that far ahead.
Oh, I'm glad I did before we started getting rolling.
Pull off that. That's cool.
All right. Thought about it.
All right, we'll do that part again.
Yeah, we'll do that part again. We rolling? Okay. So that was the birth of the Allman Brothers.
Right. And the next day or a couple of days later, I wrote Whipping Post. And within a short time after that, I wrote quite a few songs.
Let me ask you this. Were you surprised at the height the Allman Brothers Band reached? I mean, you all went from
I really
nobody
was.
to superstardom.
I really was. A lot of things, I mean, a lot of people ask me, how did you make it? Oh, not that way.
Let's do it. Let's start that over again.
Okay.
Good job.
Take 3.
Are you surprised? Were you surprised then when you went from really nobodies to superstars?
Yes, I was. I didn't plan on any. None of us planned on it. You know. I mean, it didn't seem like anybody was into it for fame, fortune, anything like that. We just knew that when we were together playing, we felt the best. I mean, that's when we were all at our best. I mean, that's when any of life's problems just went away when we played, you know.
I mean, all of a sudden, money started coming in.
Really?
Fame.
It was amazing.
I'm sure there were girls.
Man, it was anything you want.
Was that good or was that bad?
Some cases it was bad. Most cases it was real good.
In what ways was it bad?
Well, the age-old story of well, you can buy fast cars, drugs, things that kill you, you know. I mean, they're made so easily available to you that a lot of people, we lost a lot of real good players, man.
Because a lot of people were affected by that, you know.
A lot of them overcame it.
A lot of them overcame it. You're one of them. But
Yeah.
I mean, it affected a lot of people. Jim Morrison, Jimi Hendrix,
Right.
Elvis Presley.
Right. And at times it would seem like, and sometimes still does, like you have no life of your own. And you feel like you're in an aquarium half the time. And especially if you look like me, I don't know. And then marrying Cher, I mean,
I
there was good parts to these things, and then there was bad parts, and it took a lot of growing up real fast.
I wanted to ask you about Cher, and well, all of a sudden, because Gregg Allman, you didn't hear a lot about Gregg Allman for a while. Then all of a sudden he marries Cher, and boom, you guys were in every magazine in the country.
Well, to tell you the truth, I didn't even think about that. One day she said to me, after we had realized that the two of us had fallen in love, she said, you know, this could get you in some real trouble, you know, in that, you know, the press is going to be all over you. And I thought, no, of course not. I mean, love's really blind, that's for sure. And all of a sudden, I mean, I couldn't make a move. I couldn't go out in the front lawn and wash my car without people being over the gate. And I thought, this is ridiculous. And so, at one period of time, it really got to me. It really got to me. And the reason that we split up, I think, was more her surroundings, where she was. I mean, Beverly Hills, Hollywood. I couldn't take it. I couldn't live that way. I couldn't do it. I mean, I had to come back down south. You know, it's where I belong. I think if she'd have come with me, it might have worked.
Did you ask her?
No, I didn't, because I knew that was where her roots were, and respected that. I didn't really have to ask her. But, I mean, that place will drive a Southern boy to drink, I'll tell you. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love the audience in Los Angeles. I love to go there, but it's like New York City. I love the people in New York City. That's probably the best town. But I got to go for 4 days.
You and Cher still talk? And,
Sure.
I mean, because y'all had a baby.
Sure did. Beautiful little boy. He just turned 6 years old.
Okay.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like it's been that long.
It sure doesn't. It really doesn't.
And who thought of the name?
I did.
It's a pretty name. I mean, you don't hear it very often.
No, you don't. Elijah was the last prophet to die, and he was a real rascal. And blue for blues. And Blue really loves music. I mean, from the time that he was aware that he was alive, man, music would just get him moving. Of course, most babies are that way, but I mean, he's still, I mean, he's crazy about music.
You know, I guess a lot of people thought that when you and Cher got married, that it was a real unlikely combination. I mean, here she is. She's more of that top 40 genre.
Well, getting married didn't have anything to do with it.
But I think people perceive that as an unlikely.
I wouldn't marry my bass player because he played good. I mean, if it was a woman, you know. Yeah. Well, I mean, it didn't seem like. Well, to me, it seemed perfect, you know. And to her, it seemed perfect. And for a while, it was perfect. But there was so much. I mean, a day in the life of Cher and Gregg Allman was staggering. Some of them.
Why?
I remember one night we were sitting on the bed and watching TV, and I said, why don't we go see this certain movie, get out of the house for a while? She said, fine. So we walk downstairs, we get in the car, and we drive to the theater, and here's 8 or 9 photographers waiting on us. Now you tell me, how did they know? Because they get paid very high. I mean, if like back then, a photographer who brought in a picture of me looking like I was really stoned really was in the chips, man. I mean, $5,000–6,000 for a picture.
Really?
They would like soup up these Nikons, you know, they catch you when you're blinking your eyes and like that, you know. You'd be just coming from church, you know. And,
why don't you take pictures at home and send them in for extra money?
I don't know. I just didn't understand how people could make their living talking about other people. Enough of that.
All right, well, let's go on to something else.
I survived it, that's for sure.
Come to, you've had your share of tragedy in life. I mean, the Allman Brothers were going as strong can be. And then your brother got killed.
You know we're in trouble now.
Could y'all be quiet out there?
I don't think that'll do it.
Well, you don't sound to respect me. Sorry, back at you. But anyway, you have had some tragedy. As I said, the Allman Brothers were, man, they were big. They were going strong. And then all of a sudden, your brother got killed. That, I imagine, hit pretty hard.
It was staggering. It really was. But now, I mean, I can feel his presence, like on stage sometimes, so clear. I mean, he's there.
Was it the same after he was gone?
It could never be the same. But At first it was, like, you never know how much you're leaning on somebody till they die. So I got mad at myself for leaning. I got mad at him for dying. I got mad at life in general. Because I thought, you know, what'd you do? Set all this up, man, just to knock it over when I was, you know, all those things that you think about. So I started drinking and drugging and everything. And then from somewhere, I started realizing that, hey, I've still got life, you know. I mean, I'm still here, and I love life. I love people. I love making them happy by playing. And so all this getting loaded, just I quit it. Plus, it was about to kill me, and I wasn't gonna. I'd rather die in a whorehouse. I mean, I wasn't gonna die of substance, you know.
Did it come close ever?
Yeah. The doctors told me one time if I kept drinking like I was drinking, then in 2 years, my liver was going to be like hard as a rock, cirrhosis. So when I turned about, I guess, 31 years old, I finally got some sense. I mean, I started thinking about number one, you know. I started realizing that you could live life and have a great time, and you didn't have to be in some kind of altered state. Quite the contrary. It's better if you're not, you know.
You've come full circle now.
I believe so. And it's great now. It's better than ever. Every day when I wake up, I'm so glad to be here, and something different happens. Like this new band I got, it's just, wow. The guys that I play with are just the best, man.
Is it better than the Allman Brothers? I know that's an unfair question, probably.
It's a bad question.
And I knew you wouldn't like it, but I'm saying it's got to be different because you're different.
It's different. The Allman Brothers was the finest band ever come out of the South. And it was 12 years, the best 12 years of my life. And well, I'm talking like it's over. It's not, you know. It's just back in '75, we worked so hard that it became a job. It was a rut, and so it broke up.
But that was after your brother's death, right?
Right, he died in '71.
71, okay. Because
Like-
the Allman Brothers.
Like one year we worked 306 nights. I mean, it was just, it got so crazy.
Can I make sure I have the chronology right? The Allman Brothers Band started in what year?
Spring of '69,
Okay, that's what I thought. Brother died in 71.
October '71.
Allman Brothers kept on going for years after that without your brother.
That's right.
And when the Allman Brothers were going, it was you and your brother that were the main driving force. Then,
Oh, it was everybody.
was it everybody? Because I'd always heard that it was. See, and that's the trouble. Someone, you know, you hear everything, and when you finally meet the man who's doing it, you always get a different story.
Well, that's the way I feel about it. I was the vocalist, he was the lead guitar player. Dickie Betts was also the lead guitar player. Dickie Betts also sang. Barry Oakley sang. We all, I did a lot of arranging. Dickie Betts did a lot of arranging. Dickie and I wrote the songs.
See, because that's what I'd heard. I'd heard that when your brother was alive, it was you and your brother who kind of led the band along. Then after your brother died, it was you and Dickie Betts.
That's true. That part of it's true.
And then you and Dickie Betts had some conflicts, and then the band split up, came back, split up, came back.
No, the band never broke up because of me and Dickie. No. Well, it only broke up one time. That was in '75, and that was because of outside management and the record company, and it had nothing to do with anybody going to court or any of that stuff. It was all it just that happened at the same time, and so everybody tagged it. I don't even want to talk about it. That is such crap. I don't even, I don't even think about that anymore. That's just it insults my intelligence to even think about it. I can't believe that people must.
The whole thing is that those are the things that you hear about, and
I know.
And I'm sure you'd rather have them cleared out.
Well, I'm not even going to sit here and say I suffered because I suffered to a point, and I decided, hey man, you ain't going to suffer anymore. So I decided not to suffer.
Yeah, I guess it was.
I wouldn't go out of the house there.
I imagine it was a combination of that, brother dying, people prying into your private life. It could almost drive anybody.
Yeah.
To drink.
If they took it too serious. That doesn't mean that I take any of it lightly, but you just can't keep on dwelling on something, and just become a veggie.
Yeah.
I'd say that now, today, I'm happier than I've ever been in my life.
Let's talk.